Hi, and welcome back to the Red Car Learning Path, the Tableau introduction with field monitoring data. This is the fourth video in this series, and we just talked about why we clean data and what is data cleaning. And now we're going to jump into looking at Tableau Prep, which is a tool that was created to help prepare data to then be visualized in Tableau. And it's built by Tableau and it comes with Tableau. So if you were to open this, it's the blue icon version of Tableau. It's called Tableau Prep Builder. It is a different software entirely. And there are tutorial videos online I would recommend watching, though I will be focusing on how best to use this tool, thinking about it from field data, energy data from buildings, and just in general. So it's similar to Tableau, where you can connect it with, you start by connecting to data, and you can pull in lots of different data sources. You can pull in an actual database. You can pull in things like SQL files, Microsoft Excel. I'm going to continue with our CSV files and text files for now. And we're going to go over here to our training materials and just pull in one of these. All right, so this whole tool is, I would call this like a visual cleaning. It's like a visual programming tool of how to clean and organize data. And so in this one, we're just going to talk about today how to import and export and combine data files. In the next couple of videos, we'll go over how to actually take some data apart and do some manipulation to files. So right now I imported a text file here, and you can see it added it as a little block. It's just kind of free floating. And the basic format of Tableau Prep is to do a bunch of cleaning steps where you import the data. So as a quick overview, you import the data, you make some cleaning edits that you need to make by either modifying the data field, making a new one, modifying time, making a new set of time, and then you export the data back to either a CSV file or a form of a database file. That's essentially the entire flow of Tableau Prep. It can get a lot more complicated, but in general, that's what we use it for, is to be able to look at our data, make some choices of how we want to say, well, every time we have a null value, I want those to be 0, or things like that, and then remake the database. It allows us to, do lots of, again, visual changes to the data very, very quickly. So I'm going to go back. So here we have our text file, and what it's telling us here is multiple things. It's telling us I found these 3 fields. I assumed this is my data type, so you can even change it here if you wanted this to be a string instead. But for now, it looks correct. Now we can see here some information about it. There is a way to import. We can see the data set by default will actually say default sample amount. For my work, I often recommend saying use all the data. It's actually very important to do and can be a source of some errors. So that'll import all the data here. If we wanted to add another file, text file, I can pull in this one. We can see it just added it here. The colors are somewhat arbitrary. You can change them, but it's just meant to be a visual way. You can also change what this is called. So it's all meant to be a way for us to track what we're doing. So if we click on each one, you can edit the properties of that field. So I basically now have 2 data sets. With CSV files, we looked at before there was this union function in Tableau. There's a similar thing here where instead of a union, if we know it's a CSV file and they're all in the same folder, you actually can do what's called multiple file import. And if I do this, I can do wildcard, and now it's actually going to search any CSV file. We actually could have filtered this, and for instance, we could say if we saw a pattern, so in here I see the term FC. I think this would work, FC. Oh, no, that won't work. I think like if you typed Oakland, it would find all of these files. But so I can import all of these actually together, and I can hit apply, and I have to wait for that to happen. And now what actually this little orange dot represents, it added this file path at the bottom. It now actually represents, if I had a cleaning step, all of those CSV files brought in together. So we can see here it actually has all the columns from every CSV file in one spot. So that can be pretty nice because now it even added this column. And if we were to raise this little window up, we can actually see below it shows us a sample of the resulting database it would be making. And here we can see it has null values if the CSV file didn't have data all the way across. So we can see we only had data for this second, 13 seconds for temperature and conference and humidity. But that's how to import many, many files. For this, let's actually just stick with our one file. You can also like remove and clean up your connections, but you don't have to. So I've been adding this cleaning step quite a bit, but so there's lots of steps I wanted to show you, and there's some better videos, and we'll get into these more in the future. But the general step that we often will use is cleaning steps just give us a space to make modifications to this data. So if we wanted to create a calculated field that we'll get into and add a number to this and make a new field, we would do that in a cleaning step. Today what I want to show you is, I forgot, I wanted to bring back my file. I wanted to show how to merge two files together. So beyond trying to pull them in with multiple file types, there's another little step called union. And we use this from time to time, but this is almost a visual way to do the combination of multiple. But you can use a union to merge this file with this one. And the way I did that is I hovered over this, clicked and held the plus bar, dragged it with my mouse down to the back of union where it highlighted solid, and that's how it connected these two data files. And so now we can see here the outcomes. It basically said, oh, I found a common name, table names, and then I found, or no, this is unique, but I did find this, date time is in both. It's green and it's blue. And then this was only green, it's only in this makeup error unit. So that's one way to more like visually combine files. You would often do this if you wanted to, let's say, first clean this one by itself, make some edits, clean this one by itself, make some edits, and then put them together. And so if we clean them, if we join them together, we could then add our output step. And what I'm actually going to do is change this to be a CSV again. I'm going to change where I want this to go. So I'm going to go back to my location. We'll just call this demo 1 output. And so now I've set it up. The flow is ready. And so now if I hit play, it will run the flow. So it will actually look at all the data, pull it in, and do the mathematics or the changes I've set up at each cleaning step, and then make my output CSV file. This only took 13 seconds. I've had them take upwards of 5 minutes for gigabytes of data. But now if we go back to our folder, demo output 1, we can actually see, I already saw there it's 35 megabytes, so it's a pretty big file. So as it comes open here, all right, so I opened our file, and so we can see this is what we have created. So it pulled in all our different data fields. So we can see here we had, this is a good example, but basically, oh yeah, we had a CO2 reading on 23 seconds. We had a temperature reading on 32 seconds. There was no makeup air reading. And so now this is our combined file. We can basically see it just left a blank or a null every time it didn't have data. So that's what it will do, just so you get a sense of like what Tableau Prep will do with the changes we made. In the next video, we can actually talk a little bit more about some cleaning steps, and I think I'll make the next one all about time, so we can better understand I'll do a demonstration. If we were to organize time so we didn't have all those gaps and put it into, let's say, average it to 1 minute, how would we do that and what are those steps? All right.